This is the case of a 33-year-old supposed golden child named Jennifer Pond, who was convicted for a kill-to-hire attack back in 2010, targeting her parents. The incident involved men breaking into Pond's home, shooting both the parents. Jennifer's mom, Bish Han, was killed instantly with multiple shots to the back and an ultimate fatal shot to the back of her head, as her father, Hui Han, was badly wounded with a gunshot wound to the face. Jennifer's parents were what Crime Watch Daily described as the classic examples of the Canadian immigrant success story. Han, raised and educated in Vietnam, had moved to Canada as a political refugee in 1979. Bish also moved separately as a refugee. The two got married in Toronto and lived in Scarborough. They had 2 kids, Jennifer and Felix, just 3 years later. They were very hardworking, and by the end of 2004, they'd both saved enough money to buy a home with a 2-car garage and markup. They found jobs at Magna International, the Aurora-based auto parts manufacturer. Han worked as a tool die maker, and his wife worked making car parts. As every parent's expectations, they'd hoped their 2 children would follow in their footsteps and work as hard as they did in establishing an honest living in Canada. Jennifer was a straight-A student from elementary and had also played piano since the age of 4. She showed potential and racked up a trophy case full of awards. She was also a figure skater, training most days of the week. She'd hoped to compete in a more competitive national level with her sights set on Vancouver 2010 Olympics, but she tore a ligament in her knee, preventing this. Balancing her school and work and extracurricular activities posed a lot of pressure for her. Some nights she would come home at 10 p.m. from skating practice, start on her homework, which she would then work on until midnight. Her parents were very proud of her and felt that their sacrifices, which included leaving Vietnam to live as immigrants, laboring to give their children a good home, and put them through school, was all worthwhile. But all the pressure on Jennifer started weighing down on her. She started cutting her arms. With all the hard work and sacrifices she made, Jennifer was expected to be named valedictorian as she graduated from grade 8. She expected to receive several awards for her efforts, yet instead received nothing. She was discouraged, but kept what she called a happy mask so no one would see her devastation. She felt, though, that there was no point in trying if no one appreciated her efforts. According to her schoolmate, whom she shared music classes with, she was friendly and confident on the surface, but beneath, she was tormented by feelings of self-doubt, inadequacy, and shame. She tried hiding her devastation from her parents as she didn't want to disappoint them any more than she felt she already had. Through grade 9, her grades began to fall dramatically. To please her parents, she started creating fake academic reports using old report cards, scissors, glue, and a photocopier. In these new forged reports, Jennifer had straight A's. Jennifer's parents were known to have been extremely strict. She wasn't allowed to attend any parties or dances under any circumstance. When she was permitted to go to sleepovers, she would be dropped off very late into the evening and picked up very early into the morning. At the age of 22, Jennifer hadn't so much as gone on vacation without her family. According to Jennifer's friends, they felt as though her parents were overprotective and were treating her poorly. Jennifer eventually started dating a boy named Daniel in grade 11. With the relationship at its peak, she continued to doctor her report cards throughout high school. At some point, she received an early acceptance at Ryerson, but then failed calculus in her final semester, so the university withdrew its offer. The parents later discovered an even more sinister reality. Jennifer had lied that she was accepted into Ryerson with a $3,000 scholarship. Desperate to please her parents, rather than commute to school, she commuted into the city every day to spend time in public libraries, making notes in science so as to convince her parents that she'd been attending classes. She also spent some time teaching piano lessons and spent the remainder of her time with Daniel at Boston Pizza, where he worked as a kitchen manager. When 2 years had passed, Jennifer pretended to transfer to U of T as she'd planned. She told her parents that she'd be staying with a friend of hers, and her mother sympathized with her as she felt as though she'd been straining with the daily commute. But instead, Jennifer was actually staying with Daniel at his parents' house. Her parents later suspected something was off and trailed her to learn the truth. The following 18 months, she was forbidden to leave the house without supervision. Her contact on social media as well as the use of her mobile phone were also restricted. According to one of her Facebook updates, she felt as though she was under house arrest as every move she made was monitored. As time passed by, her anger grew more and more. She began to think and wonder what life would be like without her parents. She soon learned that her parents had set aside a $500,000 inheritance for her to receive after their deaths, and her life took an unexpected turn from there. Her mother, Bish, had been out dancing, and she came back home around 9:30 p.m., changed into her pajamas and soaked her feet as she watched TV on the main floor, with her husband asleep upstairs. Jennifer, who'd been watching Gossip Girl in her bedroom, came down at this time to wish her mom a good night, only to leave the main door unlocked. Just a short while later, without any warning, 3 armed men burst into the family's home. Her father, Han, was dragged downstairs and gunmen scored the house for cash. Trembling with fear, the couple was ordered to move to the basement of their home. Jennifer's mother pleaded desperately for their daughter's life to be spared, just as the gunmen shot both she and Han multiple times, with Bish dying instantly, though Han managed to survive. When the men fled, Jennifer hysterically called the police, crying for help. She explained the gunman had tied her hands, but she managed to free herself. When Han woke up from a medical-induced coma, he told his accounts of the evening, saying that Jennifer had spoken with one of the gunmen in a soft and friendly manner as if they knew each other. At this instant, Jennifer shifted from an innocent victim to the primary suspect. During an interrogation, Detective Bill Goetz used a tactic called the Reed technique, where he went through a series of stages of gaining Jennifer's trust so that she would feel safe telling him the truth. He then accused her of plotting the grisly revenge murder when she then cracked.
They said, the last things I heard them say was, you lied to us, you lied to us. And then I heard 2 pops. My mom screamed. I yelled out for her, and a couple more pops.
Take your time. Take your time.
And I think I heard my mom say or moan or something, and then they did one more before they left, and then one of the guys said, we have to go now, it's been too long.
So that you're looking away from me. You're looking exactly like, now here is where the banister is. Put your hands back behind your back, exactly how you remember they were, okay? Now, are you restrained from movement? How far can you move your hands from the banister?
They tied my upper arm.
Yes?
Around the banister.
Yes?
But my hands were bound together.
So your hands bound together, and this is the arm that's the strings wrapped around against the banister?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now how can you get to the phone, and how do you make the phone call? 911?
Mm-hmm.
And do you talk down like that?
Yes, I'm yelling at the phone like this.
And how can you hear?
I turned the volume on max.
Yes? So that's exactly the way that you're talking to her against the railing? Okay, that's good.
Jennifer was arrested on the spot, after which police discovered thousands of text messages which tied her and 4 others to the crime, including her ex-boyfriend. It was heard in court that Daniel introduced Jennifer to one of the men, and she arranged to pay him $10,000 from her inheritance for the attack. It was later discovered that Jennifer reconnected with her friends from elementary school who boasted about robbing someone at knife point in a park. He even confessed that he once thought about killing his own father. He later introduced her to his roommate, a goth who became involved in the crime. She gave him $1,500 on her piano earnings, and the two agreed that he would murder her father in the parking lot of his workplace. However, this accomplice soon stopped answering her phone calls, and by early July, she realized that she'd been conned. The boy, named Ricardo, later said that Jennifer was calling him hysterically, begging him to come and kill her parents, but he refused to agree. He also said that the only money he ever received from her was $200 for a night out, which he returned promptly. It was around this time that she reconnected with Daniel to continue with the plan. To this day, it remains unclear who exactly pulled the trigger to take the life of Jennifer's mother. In December of 2014, 4 years after the attack, Jennifer and her accomplices were all found guilty. Jennifer was sentenced to 25 years in prison, with each of the men receiving 18 years. Her father didn't get a chance to be in court when the sentencing was read, but he wrote a note which was read out loud, stating, "When I lost my wife, I lost my daughter at the same time. I don't feel I have a family anymore. I too feel like I'm dead." Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to click that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep updated with our videos.